Hello everybody, Kane here and welcome to another video of Art of Conquest. In this one, as promised, we're gonna start talking about heroes. So first things first, I'm gonna start talking about heroes from left to right. And if that hero has two builds, we're gonna talk about one hero per video in that case. And if a hero has one build, probably I'm gonna combine some heroes every now and then and just maybe do a 10 to 15 minute video. It really depends, unless you want me to cover one hero at a time, just give out majority if not all the tips, instead of probably compress it a little bit and perhaps maybe miss something when I just combine it with another hero. It depends how you want me to do it. Probably I'm gonna combine them. If people want solos, I'll just do solos instead. So, let's start with Rufio. The first build that I have for him is pretty much full DPS. So for DPS, you require the Drake set. For the 2-piece bonus that grants him a ton of tankiness, you don't have this, you send him into enemy backline, he's gonna get one-shotted instantly. Like, so quickly that after you cast the ability, after a couple of seconds, he can just instantly die, and you don't want him to die. Then 3-piece set, all abilities +1, which is always welcome. Then the other set is the Barbaric set from Clash of Fate. It increases a ton of his DPS in comparison to his old set in terms of the Valor set, or whatever it's called, that grants damage to massive units. Now, the thing is, Rufio was known as a dragon killer. The potential didn't actually increase his dragon killing at all. So pretty much this particular set kind of died out. I mean, you can still use this bonus against maybe, I don't know, like Spiders of Lich, but that's a very rare sight. Other than that, I don't know who else actually uses massive units. I mean, Sylvani does, but then again, he's not going to do any damage to trees. And that's it, I think. Well, Rakan maybe uses a turtle, but even then, I don't know if Rufio can kill a highly decked out turtle. A pretty bad one, sure, but decked out one, I don't know. Especially in resistance meta. Then we're gonna require Leo Sprite Artifact, a ton of buffs, a ton of debuffs, healing through damage, or siphon HP through damage. In terms of Prism, we're gonna require Wave Power. Now, I don't have Wave Power on him, because I'm not using him as DPS. I used him for like more than half a year, and said, frick it, in 90% plus of the times he's not doing anything for me, because majority of the time I'm fighting people that have like maybe 4, 5, maybe 6 tier 15, 16 researches above me, and a lot more hero levels, a lot more stats. So he's not really doing that much in the backline, just because I'm fighting a lot older accounts, or a lot higher, say, money spent accounts, or like VIP 15s, or whatever you want to call them. And sometimes the fights are actually quite a bit hard for this particular hero to do damage even with wave power. However, if you want him as DPS, this particular array will help you do the most damage that he would be able to do. So the cast that you usually do is two particular abilities. So you either deep impact into the enemy backline, or you blade storm and then deep impact. As far as I'm aware, some circumstances, first deep impact is better. In some others, blade storm and then deep impact is better. The reason you want to do both of them is because that wave power is gonna stack. Rufio is gonna do damage. Perhaps he's gonna kill some heroes or proc invincibilities. Who knows? He might actually help out. In my own case, since I'm again fighting people a lot higher core, more researches, more breakthroughs, all that kind of stuff, it's not really performing that well even if I do a DPS build on him. So I decided to just make him, 50-50 at the moment. The abilities, I don't know, perhaps this is a very old build, but this is what I have on him. The only ability that is kind of important, or two abilities that are kind of important, is the Intimidating Shout, which if you properly place this stun on core enemy heroes, you could potentially even win the fight through this. Now, bear in mind that it depends on you. Now, some people might be laughing. There are a few times, not like very often, but a few times, people place Rufio in front of some of my DPS heroes rather, and then that Rufio friggin' spun, and literally I could not cast any of my mages. Like, my Ophidia, my Tisiphone, my Valerie, and my Avril are all different places, and I could not cast Valerie, Ophidia, or Avril at all. Like, at all. Literally, like, this one stunned one hero, then he jumped, and then he spun, and literally all of those heroes perma-stunned for like 15 to 20 seconds. Like, that was some friggin' MVP stuff from a player to properly manage multiple stuns, as well as Rufio to just completely roll me over. And this one particular stun could actually have some huge value in a fight. Of course, it's RNG, a lot of RNG, but if you place it properly and you perhaps maybe counter the enemy if you face him again, very high value. Aside from that, Fearless. Now, when you unlock the potential on him, Fearless is going to grant you less damage from large units. Large units means heroes, so heroes will be doing less damage to Rufio. The other thing is, at pot 70, he has an awesome buff. Increases damage taken for the next 5 seconds and reducing their accuracy, as well as attack speed and movement speed of the enemies for a portion of the seconds, but the attack speed is a lot more. The other debuffs are triggered again when he walks back and forth the boundaries of his ability, meaning these increased damages or taken or whatever can actually be reprocced multiple times. So I didn't notice this prior to making the video, and it's actually pretty friggin' sweet, to the point I'm gonna test him out in the future, how this one particular thing will perform. So, aside from that, I have both of the skins, and these are my stats. So, I can make him level 73, so this would be close to 200%, or rather 200 million HP. And this is pretty much a sort of a build for DPS. Now, Hero Masteries, rather. So prior to going deeper, I will always say I'm not going to show my Protective, my Divine, and my Command. These three, I know I've shown them long ago. Quite a lot of people use them. They messed their fields up, heroes kept dying, all that kind of stuff. So personally, these ones are always going to be off limits because it's dependent on breakthroughs, placement, formations, all that kind of stuff. And I don't really want you guys to, mess up your fields randomly just by trying that out and not properly managing formations. So the only thing I'm gonna do is Arcane and Rage. And all the other three, off limits. So, first things first, the Arcane 4. Active ability cooldowns 3 seconds. Basically, if my mages are being stunned and CC'd and pulled and etc., I still have the ability to cast Rufio multiple times to stun the enemy burst damage dealers or stuff like that until I am able to cast my mages. So this is kind of important substitute to mages not being able to cast abilities. Now, when I had Rufio as DPS, I had Rufio on the Rage 8, might plus 20, and will be giving a 12% physical penetration effect while dealing physical damage to a target, which stacks 4 times. So if you spin Rufio, pretty much that one spin procs, I think, from 2 to 6 times, I'm not sure entirely, maybe more, but pretty much you're likely gonna max out this passive on pretty much close to all of them whenever you cast. That is, I think, why people cast jump and spin or spin and jump on them, just to proc majority of that on them. Since I don't use him as a DPS anymore, I just put this on Denji. So aside from that, that is pretty much it for the DPS Rufio. Now the off-tank build is similar, but I will probably try it and see how it goes, and eventually just pin it in the comments down below this video, whether it worked or whether it didn't. Do keep in mind that this will be an experimental build, right? Probably not many are using, so perhaps it may not actually work. So, since again, Rufio is not really doing damage for me, I don't really need him to have a damage set. So what I'm gonna try is, I'm gonna try this particular set from the dragon, damage mitigation 35%. I have a ton of mitigation from armory, from other places, etc. He also has damage reduction from his potential, as well as this stuff. Not from his abilities, but usually, like, more than half of the times he's not gonna die because you have mages actually supporting in terms of doing damage where he actually is. So if he's able to sustain the damage thrown on him, that second spot for the frontline tanks to actually heal, maybe proc some shields, maybe proc some debuffs, maybe tank a little better as well. I mean, it really depends on circumstances. So I'm gonna test out that tanky build, and I'm gonna keep a prism, which is a buffing one. Now one would say, yeah, but you're sending a very good prism into the backline of the enemy. Majority of the time, my Rufio is not really dying instantly. Like, probably he's dead like 15 to 20 seconds, maybe 25 seconds into the match if it's against a burst side. But usually at that time, some of their burst side heroes also has fallen, like a buffer, maybe debuffer, maybe a DPS as well. Stuff happens. And if you're facing a stall side, this Rufio is not going to die. So it's mainly burst versus burst, and probably burst versus burst, a DPS Rufio would actually be better. But I mean, I use DPS Rufio. For me, it doesn't do free call against the higher core people or the people that I face, so I might as well just do something like this. Aside from that, pretty much everything else kind of remains the same. The Drake set remains the same, the artifact remains the same, because again, buffs, debuffs, some healing, and abilities do remain the same as potential. You want to keep majority of what it is there in terms of buffs, nothing really changes, but perhaps I will add deep impact on him, so he's like an off-tank / utility based on what he has. Since again, he doesn't really do almost any damage for me. Similarly, like Valerie, which did decently at like particular portion in time and now does completely nothing. So yeah, that's, I suppose, pretty much it for the Rufio. Do let me know in the comments down below what you think, whether or not this information helped you out. If it did, do hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. As well as, if you would wish to support me more than just watching my videos, I have made a Patreon page where you would be able to do just that. In return, I would be able to help you out more individually in terms of events, PvP formations, and stuff like that. As well as, I would like to thank all of my patrons for the support. I really appreciate it for your subscriptions. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay safe out there.